Hey Aquarius. I'm ready for you guys this time. I have a whole cup of lemon and honey water ready. I got so sick after I did that reading. I was sick for legit like 2 weeks. I'm not saying it was you guys. I'm just saying I got sick. I'm saying it was coming on. So, here we are. And things are actually going to be looking pretty good for you. You have Venus in Aquarius, I think it is. Why did I almost put those cards back in the deck? Focus. Let me focus. Whenever I start talking about the planets, it kind of takes me out of the tarot flow, so I have to like learn how to do both at the same time. And then my technology is still going crazy. The shadow of Mercury. So, yes, Venus in Aquarius. Really good for you guys, obviously. And I think it's a time to warm up. You know, soften those edges a little bit. Melt a little bit. Kind of like the advice for Virgos, but a little bit different, right? Because you guys can also be icy, but not in the same way. You guys are icy when someone, like Virgos can be overall icy, even when they really like someone, they have a hard time expressing it. With you guys, it's more like it's reserved for when really people upset you, which in some ways is very hard to do, right? In some ways, it's like Aquarians will take a lot. And then in other ways, it's very easy. It just depends on if you know where the lines are. Like, remember how we talked about it's depending on what button people push? So the lack of forgiveness with you guys is really when someone has like crossed a line with you, and then it's really hard for you guys to let up and forgive and be softer and be kinder and warmer. But you are coming into a period here in December where, just like everybody else, you're being asked to step out of what you usually do and what you're usually like, because we want to set up a really, really nice energy for the beginning of next year. So what does that mean for you guys? Well, there is a sense of domination when it comes to you guys. There is, for me, whenever this card comes up, it's because someone is really like asserting their will, quite some, right? And then this is always a card of someone also asserting their will, but usually this card for me when it comes up is associated with people's dads. So being in the center of your reading the way it is right now, neglect, issues that have to do with neglect, issues that have to do with, issues that have to do related specifically to your dad. You know, is there someone in your life right now that reminds you of those things? Is there someone who isn't around as much as they should be, or is being too bossy with you or too hard with you? And it's making you feel, you know, really upset and trapped a little bit. And you just want things to move, you know? You may be trapped by, this can also be a card, the King of Wands can also for me be a card of like a boss or a work situation that really is making you feel stuck and you just want to get out and you don't know what to do and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so sick of this. Why won't the situation move? For everyone else this month, it seems like things are going to slow down and not move. For you, actually, things are going to open up and start moving. So that's awesome, right? So that stuck feeling, that feeling of, you know, I've been working hard. I've been doing what I'm supposed to be doing, right? But like, where's the fruition? Where's the payoff? You know, why does it keep eluding me? What am I doing wrong? What is it? You know, last month we talked about, you know, don't look at everything so black and white. And you may be wondering like, okay, I'm not doing that, but why isn't it happening then? Why aren't things progressing? And I feel like finally, you know, this for me is also a card, this can be a card of fairness. Things working out the way they're supposed to, so it's fair, right? So if you feel like you haven't been getting your due, if you haven't been getting everything that you're entitled to, if you haven't been noticed for your work, this is the time where you'll really start to feel all of that come to fruition. And it's a really good time in terms of love. The more you can go out, the more you can hang out with people, the more you can be around people, the easier it's going to be right now for you to meet somebody. And it's looking really, really good. The chances of you meeting someone are very high right now. And someone who will be serious about you. You know, someone who's not going to try to dominate you and be your father figure. You know, someone who will be... This is a card of two people who really have a harmonious life together. These two people aren't trying to overpower each other or put each other on pedestals, because that's the other thing that people do with Aquarians, is that people put you on pedestals, and it's really annoying, right? Because, I mean, okay, in a way it's nice. In a way it's nice for someone to put you on a throne and treat you like a queen. Sure. Or a king, right? But at the same time, it's a lot of pressure, right? Because you know inside that you're human. You know that you don't deserve to be on that pedestal, but there you are. And the crazy thing about being on a pedestal, and I've experienced this as well, I know a lot of people have, you guys have, is that, you know, if someone is here and they fall to here, yeah, you know, they've disappointed you a little and you're like, oh, well, that was disappointing, that sucked. But if you put somebody here and they fall to here, that's a huge drop. Now, it's not your fault. You didn't mean to drop that far. It's just that they put you up so high that, of course, when you fall, you're going to fall much farther down, right? So, in that way, it can be very hard to be an Aquarian, because I feel like when people don't understand something or someone, they have a tendency to either really denigrate them and make them feel very low, or put them up really, really high. And with you guys, I feel like people put you up super, super high. And the pressure of having to live up to that, the pressure of having to be almost superhuman, can be really difficult. You know, because it's like, I have to look perfect all the time. I have to be perfect all the time. You guys are already doing that. And then people from the outside are like, whoa, you look perfect all the time. Whoa, you're so perfect all the time. And you're like, damn, now now you're reinforcing that. Now I have to do it even more. That can be really hard, because I mean, pretending to be superhuman when you're human is hard. That's not easy, right? So last month there was quite a overarching sentiment of, if you're going to tell us what's wrong with us, then also tell us how to fix it. Don't just tell us what's wrong with us. We already know we're very black and white, but what can we do about it? And that's, and that's a very fair criticism. I'm not even messing with you guys. I can already feel my throat. So, that's a very fair criticism. So, what do I suggest then that you do with that black and white nature, and with being put on pedestals, and with needing to warm up? What can help that situation? Interestingly, a couple of the cards that came up in the Libra reading are also coming up here, and I find that to be totally on point, because in the larger scheme of things, air signs do have pretty similar patterns. Earth signs have pretty similar patterns. I mean, you guys are not like Geminis. You're not like Librans. But you do have some qualities that have to do with that. Another card that was in the Libra reading just came out as well. So you will see how there's some similarities between all the earth and all the air and all the fire and all the water. And in your case, what we're looking at here, well, let me show you what we're looking at as we talk about it, and then we'll talk about meditation and how it applies to you guys. Okay? So, what we're looking at here, first of all, just let's get the most obvious thing out of the way. There's a lot of people here. You will feel crowded this month. You will feel like there's too many people vying for your attention, vying for your affection, wanting to be near you. There's a Libra, there's obviously fire sign, There's obviously this earth sign, who also popped up in the Libra reading. Okay. There's a Virgo. There's this guy, who more than anything is just guidance for you, but, could also just be a very open-hearted person. very, very open-hearted and just wants to be around you and really likes you. This is the type of person also who would put you on a pedestal, not knowing that it would cause you so much dismay internally, right? To live up to that. So, first off, just the feeling of being crowded. I mean, just looking at this reading is making me feel a little crowded, you know, and I don't like being around big groups of people. It makes me nervous. But I know you guys are very go with the flow and easy, but don't, you know, you can be in big groups, no problem. You flow very easily with that, but you don't like being emotionally crowded by a lot of people. That just seems nonsensical and annoying to you. And I do feel you feeling that way this month in particular, probably even going into next month. And there is a sense of, you know, celebration and travel. This is all foreshadowing what next year is going to look like for you, which is really great. Keep an eye on the self-medicating, whatever version you're doing. Aquarians are one of those signs that have a tendency to self-medicate because they do feel very lonely inside. That's like your dirty little secret, right? You do feel lonely inside. That's true. And you are many times a victim of your own words. This is also true. You know, which leaves like no room for sympathy with people because they're like, no, you did that to yourself. You shouldn't have been that harsh. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have done that, you know. So you are one of the signs that when you make a mistake, not many have pity or sympathy for you. So it can make you feel alone. It's it's difficult. Hold on, let me drink some more tea. It's difficult to have sympathy, let's put it that way, for an Aquarian, because you are so theoretical and abstract that people feel like you don't have the same kind of feelings, so they don't have to have the same kind of feelings for you. And it's deeply unfair, because you do have deep-running feelings, you just don't express them like most people. But you do find yourself quite often a victim of your own words and your own thoughts. So this month, just be on the lookout for like really irritating people who want to crowd you, who want to tell you how to live your life, who want to ask you a bunch of questions and get in your business, you know, all those things you love, Aquarius, right? But moving forward from that, let's see what else this is saying. So like we said, celebration, travel, you know, if you're going to be out, if you're going to be around people, if you're going to be leaving the country and, you know, going to other places, focus on how you look a little bit. You know, you don't have to be flashy, but you could probably update your look a little. I mean, I know that if I'm going to be out a lot and I'm going to be traveling a lot, that it's probably time to buy a few new clothes. It's probably time to go get my hair cut. You know, stuff like that. You could do that. Oh, really? And then all these cards fall out. Okay. So I guess working on your looks a little is a good idea since it's bringing all this into the mix. Okay. So what have we been rushing towards? Who have we been super aggressive with that's making us now feel lost and heartbroken? Were we too mean to somebody who left, Aquarius? Did we push too much or be too critical or be too this guy for somebody? Because it looks like you may have pushed somebody away that you really cared about. And now you're having a very hard time letting go of it. You know, you're feeling sorrow and remorse for it. You can't let go of it. I see that. Okay. That stuff just popped out. So it's like, you know, we were trying to have the beginning of the reading was supposed to be a bit surface just to get you into the flow. So so you don't feel like I'm just attacking you, but here come these cards, then they obviously want to be acknowledged. So the Lover's card, for the Lover's card to come out with the Three of Swords, with this card of sorrow, this is obviously something has happened that has left you feeling pretty guilty about how you behaved and what happened between you and your loved one. So, again, reiterating the need to be super warm, okay? Reiterating the need to, perhaps for some of you, to damage control at this point. But for others of you who haven't gotten to this stage yet, just needing to pull back on the words. Pull back on how sharp the tongue can be, right? And if you can learn in this process to not just be like this. It's not all about fair and unfair. Sometimes it's just about forgiving people even though they've been really unfair. Sometimes you forgive people even though rationally it doesn't make any sense. Right? It doesn't, not everything has to be seen through this filter. Seeing things through this filter, like we talked about last month, black and white, can lead to a sort of coldness or heartlessness, or can be perceived as such. And you really want to move away from that, especially because you're coming into a month where you're going to be asked to forgive. You're going to have to forgive people that usually you're very hard on, but you're also going to have to forgive yourself. You know, because there is a sense here of being really hard on yourself. This is also a card for me of someone who's really hard on themselves. This is a card for me of someone who's hard on other people. So you do have both those aspects showing up. Now, what does that mean for later in the month? Because we have a retrograde coming up. People are going to come back into your life. People are going to want to talk. People you may have left recently will want to get back together. You may find yourself thinking about somebody that you left or, you know, that you would really want back that it didn't work out with. And really the crux of it is that you need to focus a little bit on, how can this not be so serious? How do we take life a little less seriously here? Does it always have to be like this? You know, that's what I mean about not seeing everything through this filter. Does it always have to be like this? Does everything have to be this cut and dry? You know, are we going to hang on to things even though it's bad for us? And are we going to hang on to things instead of forgiving them and letting them go? Because a lot of times, Aquarius, I don't think you realize that you're really, really drained not by what other people have done, but by your inability to let go of what other people have done. The fact that you carry that stuff around is so much more toxic than the actual thing that's happened. This is a card of doing exactly that. This is carrying guilt for something or anger about something that really, I mean, it's useless at this point, right? It's spilled. It's over. That thing you did it. You can't take it back. That thing that other person did, it's over. They can't take it back either, even if they wanted to. You know, so lingering in pain, lingering in stubbornness, you know, because you really do feel like you are right. Yeah, well, no one's saying you're not right, but lingering in those feelings is very toxic and it's very bad for you and it will affect your love energy. And that's not what you want this month. This month really is a month where you could meet somebody super serious. It's a month where you've got some really, really good elements going on. And the last thing you want to do is be caught up in a previous thing so you can't see the new thing for what it is. Don't make that mistake. And also don't take the bait when it comes to these fire signs or these dominant people. Could be a mom, could be a boss, could be a dad, could be a boss. You know, don't take the bait when it comes to these people who are trying to push your buttons and see your other side and have you turn mean. Don't give in to that. Don't give them the satisfaction. And also don't give in to this terrible toxic pattern from the past when approaching this new love. You know, I will say there's so many people in this reading that you might want to lay low a little bit and just get to know yourself better. You know, maybe pull back from all this hoopla and just be, you know, alone a little bit. Look inside yourself a little bit and find out why you feel the way you feel. Why you feel misunderstood. What could you be doing that would make people realize more of what you're like, and it would make it easier for them to relate to you instead of just seeing you as this person. Right? And I know this is a Libra card. I'm just saying, you know, the cut and dry person. It's like this or it's like this. It's like this or it's like that. What can you do What can you find out about yourself from pulling away from all this and being the hermit a little bit and just thinking about what you are? You know, who are you? Would it be a good idea to keep, you know, some sort of record? Would it be a good idea to start an anonymous blog or something? I've recommended this to a couple of Aquarians. You know, would it be a good idea to just have a nameless blog where no one knows who's talking or who's writing, and you just pour out how you feel and the mistakes you're making and the people you're pushing away? You know, because there is an element to this of Aquarians knowing what they're doing, and they're knowing that they're hurting themselves and they're hurting other people by pushing them away, but they can't really help it, it seems like. Right? And so to me, the way out of this, the way you can help yourself is just to be very, very open and very honest. You know, Aquarians don't lie, but they do have a tendency to leave pieces out. You know, sin of omission type stuff. So there is a tendency to leave pieces of information out that later become super important, and then people will say, whoa, why didn't you tell me that? And any explanation you give them, they're going to say, man, you're so cold. Man, I can't believe you kept that from me. You know, and that's what you want to avoid here. You want to avoid getting embroiled in any kind of a messy situation as the year is drawing to an end. If that means that you need to forgive people that you wouldn't normally forgive them. You know, if that means you need to spend more time alone than you usually do with other people, forgive yourself for that and spend that time alone. Right? And more than anything, I feel like this Lover's card is directly tied to the Hermit card. You need to listen to what's going on inside of you. You need to hear yourself talk about this stuff. You know, you need to process all the stuff that's going on around you without letting it completely overwhelm you. And without losing it and being super dominant and mean with somebody else, which, you know, you're capable of, I'm capable of, most air signs are capable, most earth signs are as well. Most water signs as well. Everyone is capable of having those moments. It's not just you. It's just that when you guys do it, you're wielding a very sharp sword along with it. A little bit different than the other signs, right? So the guidance is pretty clear here that what you need to do is give this over to something bigger than you, right? Because there's too many people around, there's too much past stuff going on, there's too much of you worrying about this aspect of your career, this aspect of your looks, or this aspect of love. There's like a perfect kind of storm brewing with all these things coming together. And on top of that, you know, you may feel a little drained and a little bored. Because it's like, really, I don't want to go through the same situation again. That's just so boring to me. Like, if that's what we're doing, then I'll just be single. You know? So it is important for you to check that stuff before it becomes a problem. And the way I think you can do it, the way I think you can check it before it becomes a problem, is 1, to forgive people. 2, really trust your instincts. And realize very deeply that this is your mistake. This is how you've ended up in this situation, is that it was your mistake, right? And on one hand, you have the dominant fire option that doesn't look good for you at all. And then you have the dominant earth option, which looks much, much, much better for you, right? But again, it doesn't matter what the person looks like or what the person comes across as if you can't soften yourself enough to see it. You know, sometimes the only reason people like this can get in, Aquarius, is because no one else has the stomach or the guts to take you on. But this is a sign of someone who will be very, very good for you. You just have to be nice to him. You have to be nice to her. You have to be welcoming of it and not work from a place of such wounding. This is what kills new relationships. Don't carry your old stuff into the new stuff by somehow convincing yourself that this is just now a part of your personality or something. You know, to be kind of harsh and be kind of mean. You don't have to be. Just because you're an Aquarius doesn't mean you have to be any of those things. You can choose to be better. You can work to be better. You can be totally different if you wanted to be. I mean, I don't think you should want to be because there's wonderful qualities to you. But that doesn't mean that the bad ones are set in stone. You know, you can just as easily keep the good stuff and release the bad stuff. And since you are black and white, that might be the perfect way to go for you. So it does seem here that you will be called to be quite brave and to take care of some stuff that really needs to be taken care of without getting bored. Right? Without feeling like, yeah, these people are always talking about the same stuff. Yeah, these people are always saying the same stuff to me. Yeah, there's no new insight that I can gain from this. There's no new understanding. No, you'd be surprised. There's more going on here than you think. There's a lot of insight to be gained, but perhaps only inwardly this month. And that's why I think the blog or a journal or something would be a great idea, because at least you can bounce your ideas off yourself. Right? So, there's that. And now let's talk about meditation as it applies to Aquarians. So how does meditation work? Sorry about the glare. How does meditation work in terms of an Aquarius? I think for you guys, really having amazing conversations with someone intelligent is an incredibly healing form of meditation for you. When you're able to sit with another intelligent person and talk theoretically about things that you can't normally talk to people about, you guys have the best time, and it completely fulfills you, and it makes you feel so much better regardless of the mood you're in, regardless of what's been happening that day. You know, it really does ground you to be around super intelligent people who are intelligent in the same way as you and can communicate ideas to you that perhaps you don't really know much about, right? People who can teach you something. People who can inform you on topics where you maybe don't have a lot of knowledge. Things that are perhaps a bit more esoteric or hidden in some way. But it's a good way to cultivate, like, it's a moving meditation, but it has to do purely with communication and learning. And I feel like you guys are so good with that. And some of the best conversations I've ever had are with Aquarians for exactly that reason. Because they can roll with so much and they know so much and they can infer into what you're saying, but they can also reference things in their own life and in their own studies. It's very, very satisfying to speak to an Aquarius, right? So I would say go with that as a form of meditation. Like, you know, I think it was, I want to say it was Aristotle that said that interaction breeds intelligence. Right? So that's why those schools, the Aristotelian schools, were set up in a way where the way students learned is they debated. They talked to each other all day. Because every time you interact is when you get smarter. That was his thing. That's what he was, proposing there. And it's interesting because in a way we have found that to be true. You know, the first AI computer that we created that actually learned something on its own wasn't all those super, multi-billion-dollar experiments or endeavors that we tried. Not at all. It was a simple computer at MIT that had eyebrows, eyes, and a mouth. And it was designed to interact with children, little babies. So every time the baby made a face, the robot would make a face back. And through this very simple program that was written for it to interact with children, it began to do something that no other robot or computer had done before, which is it learned something on its own. Interaction breeds intelligence, right? So for you guys, because it is the name of the game is becoming smarter, the name of the game is being more intelligent, I think meditation for you really does mean getting together with someone where you can talk and you can learn. And you can learn from each other and you can interact and grow your intelligence. So I would say that's the most beneficial way for you outside of the standard model of sitting still and just letting yourself be still. I think that's an excellent way for you to go in terms of meditation. So having said that, I'm not trying to rush through your reading. It's just that honestly my throat's starting to hurt again. I have no idea why this keeps happening. I feel like maybe this forgiveness that we're talking about that's going to happen this month also has to do with finally letting stuff out of you that you've been holding on to for a while. stuff that maybe makes you a bit venomous when you hold it in, because when you hold something in, it, you know, it festers, right? So I feel like when I start to do your readings, I feel this like, you know, like, oh, it wants to come up and out, you know, not food, but like something here, something in the throat chakra is like, let me out, let me speak, let me say what I need to say, you know? So finding a way to say that without spitting knives, right? Finding ways to communicate your point in a softer, easier, more forgiving way will, I think, be very, very beneficial for you. And this month will give you the opportunity, one, because you're going to meet somebody, you know, you saw the Lover's card was there, or you're going to finally confront a situation with a relationship that needs to be confronted so you can move on from it, right? And then after that, you get this beautiful chance to really think about yourself and think about if you're having a good time and think about what it means to be you outside the context of being put on a pedestal, outside the context of someone holding you up in such high esteem that you could never actually realistically reach it, right? So there's that. I will be putting up 2 extra videos. One will be on how to recover from a breakup, and the other is on the 8 gates meditation that you may find interesting just in terms of health purposes. I'm going to actually do it right now to help my throat. And then I will be doing my 2017 January readings, not the whole year, just January, from Negril in Jamaica. And it'll be wonderful for you guys to, you know, experience that with me. It'll be super, super fun. And hopefully I'll have even better news for you in January. Because this isn't bad. You know, this is a pretty good reading. Just, you know, work with it. Get it out. And get it out in a way where you don't murder people in the process. Okay, so I will see you guys in January. Bye.